Reach podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. I am so excited because today we have a very special guest who is going to be speaking with us about all things business, all things fitness and lifestyle. And this particular person is somebody that I hold to a very high standard and has helped me in my business with my growth and also a lot of the behind the scenes. So if you have not heard of a company called Forward Moves, it is time to go and search for them on Instagram. And I'd love to welcome the lovely CEO and owner, Ash, to the podcast.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. That was so nice.
Oh, I'm glad. I want to welcome you with open arms. And I'm really, really happy and excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here.
Good. That's what we want, high energy. And so there's a few different elements that I'd love to touch on today for our listeners. And we do want to go into business. We do want to touch on fitness. But I would love to start off with, for those who don't know you or maybe haven't heard of you, who are you? What do you do? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, so happy to elaborate. I'm Ash. I am the owner and CEO of a company called Forward Moves. We are basically a marketing consulting agency. We take fitness businesses and bring them to the market, and we also provide marketing tools for them to grow their business. So that's basically what we do. How I got here, it's been a journey, that's for sure, but lots of failures is definitely how I got to where we are. We are a very well-known company in the fitness industry now. I'd say a lot of people rely on us for their marketing and tips and tricks and advice, but it's been a huge journey, so we would kind of have to pull it apart to get to where we are right now.
That's a really good thing though, because that's exactly what I want to do today. And so for myself, like, I know a bit about where you've come from and how you've gotten to where you are. I would love to start though with just kind of finding out a little bit more for our listeners on how did Forward Moves come about, or for those who maybe don't know about the rebrand that you did, when you first started in this space, did you start in this space straight after school? Were you in another job? Like, how did that come about?
So I actually was in psychiatric care. So I was in the disability world, and I was a manager for the deinstitutionalisation of Morisset Psychiatric Hospital, so a local hospital nearby, really well known. And basically that's where I was situated. That's what I studied for. So my background's in psychology and business. And I was in that following school up until the age of 25. And I actually left my career. So I was in the role, I got super burnt out, and I left it to go into a casual job. There were quite a few things that happened within that role that made me leave. And honestly, starting MA, or my business name was previously MA, it was an accident. It was a huge accident. I was on social media at the time and I was really lost, like really, really lost, really hurt what happened to me in my last role. Like, we can definitely dive into that. And I was working casually, and I'm very much an entrepreneur at heart. So that was really weird for me because I'm used to working 70-hour weeks, not happy. My value and my worth is based on what I'm doing in my life. And I was scrolling through Instagram and I was following a lot of competitors in the WBFF April show in 2021. And a coach online just said, does anyone know how to make a spreadsheet? And something in my heart just said, you need to say yes to this. I didn't know how to make a spreadsheet. And I was like, yeah, I know how to make one. And
I love the confidence in that.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, she put it on her story and it spiraled out of control and it turned into a full-blown business. 6 months later, wow. I had 6 staff. So yeah, it was a lot. Yeah. But I think it was more of, we launched at the right time. We were in the 3rd lockdown. Was there 3? I think there was 3.
I don't even remember. It felt like so long ago.
Yeah, it was the last lockdown. I remember that. And it was just the right time because all the coaches were forced to move online. And so everyone grasped to the idea of it, and that's how it exploded, and that's how we came to be today.
Wow. It's so interesting because, like, as you said, it was an accident. You fell into it. And it's so funny because when I reflect on, like, successful people in different industries or people that I follow or people that I know, everyone seems to somehow kind of fall into what they do. And it's definitely not coincidence when you really look at it.
No, it's actually funny you say that because I've always been interested in fitness and health my entire life. And I knew I wanted to work in the industry, but I knew I was applying for admin roles at gym. I knew I wanted to be included in it, but I had no interest in being a coach. That wasn't me. That wasn't my lifestyle. And the universe just gave me what I wanted. And now I will never take for advantage of what health and fitness has given me in so many ways, because it's given me a full career, a great life, and also health and fitness for myself as well, mentally. It's just been a crazy ride the last few years.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It definitely sounds like it, and I'm glad that you're open to the understanding of how like it wasn't coincidence. It was meant to be, and that you almost kind of, I guess, like created that story yourself by kind of putting out what did I want and getting that back.
Absolutely.
And so what I would love to kind of do is understand a little bit more about the backstory behind, you deciding to leave a career to find something new. I think as well, because I'm sure a lot of us can relate to change is scary.
Yeah.
And doing anything outside of the norm can feel really, really uncomfortable. And taking a leap of faith like that is scary in its own. But I would love to dissect how you gained, I guess, the courage to leave and to venture into something new.
Yeah, absolutely. My chest is getting all tight thinking about it. So it was hard. I was very established in my career. Previously, before the last role, I worked for a high-risk company and I was the manager there. And I had a really terrible boss, to the point where I had eczema all over my body. I had rashes everywhere and it was horrible. And that's what I thought work was. That's what I thought a career was. And that has taught me so many lessons. But then I ended up getting the role that forced me out of the industry. And I was a 23-year-old girl in charge of registered nurses that were 60 years old, male 60-year-old nurses. And 23-year-olds we're all naive at that age. And the amount of abuse and horrible comments made towards me about how I wouldn't survive. And I remember distinctively some guy standing over the top of me, like with his finger, like being like, you're not going to survive this role. Because it was a very difficult role. We were working with participants within the scheme that had been institutionalized their entire lives. And I remember it was just one thing after the next. And if anything, I'm grateful for the role. It taught me how to overcome obstacles. But at the end of my career, in that world, I actually went through a sexual harassment case. So I was traveling to Sydney with the manager at the time and he harassed me and they favoured him.
Wow.
When I reported it, and I left the next week. And that's what forced me out, and that's what completely shattered my entire world. And in a way, although it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me, it launched MA. And it made me feel worthy again. So it was a very difficult situation to be in, but I am grateful that it happened to me.
Yeah. I have to say, like, good on you for not standing for it and for choosing different.
And with that as well, as soon as I said something, I was blamed. Like, why did you let it happen? Are you sure that it happened? Are you not making it up in your head? And I got all of them comments and it still hurts me to this day. I just remember crying so much before I started MA. I just remember always crying and wondering if it's going to get any better. And I think it was a mixture of, one, the glass ceiling throughout that job, too. People stole my work and took my work and said it was their work. And it's so hard to be a female and to be successful. And I didn't know what it was like to be able to build your own success because I had it all stripped away from me. So it was really, really traumatic time. But if anything, I feel like the most traumatic times bring the best outcomes.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're able to like see the positive in such, I guess, a negative situation, because it can go one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
So with that, I would love to know, is there any key things that you have learned or skills that you've been able to, I guess, bring into your new venture from that experience?
Absolutely. I don't let people treat me bad. I think that's one thing I've been very lucky with, especially in the entrepreneurial world. And especially being an all-female team, it can be hard to gain respect from people sometimes. And if you don't want to do that, you don't work in my company. And I'm very lucky that I have a backbone like that. The resilience piece and the grit piece as well, nothing phases me. Really, nothing stresses me out unless it's massive. But the lessons that I took was that I've got the grit, I've got the resilience, I can prove it to myself and not to be mistreated just because I'm a specific gender.
I want to touch on that a little bit further as well, because I think for myself, not having lived an experience like that, it can be really hard to grasp sometimes. And I want to know your opinion on the gender kind of stereotyping when it comes to women in business, because as a woman in business, I can see the signs of how sometimes it can be hard to feel like you're being seen and heard or respected or being taken seriously in your role. What sort of, I guess, things have you noticed, or things do you think hold people back from being able to see women in business as a strong or powerful thing?
I think there's two sides. So one, it can be difficult for us to see because we surround ourselves by women in business as entrepreneurs. We surround ourselves by really successful women and we make our own glass ceilings. So at any given point, you have the control to do that. But I definitely think I have a lot of friends in corporate, and the glass ceiling and the treatment of women in corporate baffles me to this day. It's so intense. And I think by taking action and owning my own business, I've kind of gotten away from all of that. So I'm very lucky. But in saying that, it is so hard to be taken seriously. You know, you put yourself online as an online entrepreneur and people come at you and people don't take you seriously. And I honestly just remember at the start of my business, oh, that little business, or there was actually a specific instance that I've met my partner as I started my business. We've been on this ride together, thank goodness. And I remember I told him my revenue one month and he mentioned it to a friend just in passing. I don't know why it came up, but he mentioned it to a friend. Oh, she actually did that, did she? I thought she was just working a side hustle. And it was just the constant derogatory comments against what I was doing, and the constant, why do you show that online, or why do you do this, or why do you do that? And I think now it's come a full 360 and they're like, whoa, I can't believe you've done that. But especially in the building phases, there were so many comments around why I shouldn't succeed in what I'm doing. And yeah, it was a really difficult time, but it's something that you do grow out of because you surround yourself with the right people.
So what have you done to be able to get through those, I guess, comments or instances to not hold yourself back and to allow you to keep moving forward?
I definitely think as an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility to get mindset work. Indefinitely. I had a mindset coach throughout the darkest phases of my business, and they really helped me through my imposter syndrome and my limiting beliefs. I think it's also the right support system. So I'm really lucky to be in a good place right now, but I distinctively remember last second year in business was the worst year ever. And I distinctively remember being surrounded by the wrong people. And you would probably know this, but business is lonely. You lose a lot of friends. There's a lot of tall poppy syndrome. And you feel like no one understands you and you cry yourself to sleep a lot of the time. And it's really, really hard. And I distinctively remember that throughout year two, that's what was happening. I was growing out of people and, you know, people weren't understanding me. There was lots of tall poppy. There was so many instances that I guess I had a victim mentality. And then when I finally decided to flick the switch and say that I was in control, I surrounded myself with a supportive team. I surrounded myself with a supportive partner. I'm lucky I do have a supportive partner. That's when everything started to change.
Yeah, you're 100% right in everything you're saying around the people you surround yourself with, because you can either take those people and allow yourself to move forward, or allow yourself to continue to like hold back, I suppose. Yeah. So the people you surround yourself around, or even the environments that you put yourself in, and the experiences that you decide to put yourself in are massive. They allow for you to either grow or stay the same.
Yeah.
Moving into that kind of, I guess, growth and outgrowing a lot of people and finding the right people, what did you do to move into a place where you felt like you could take control back?
Moved away.
Yeah.
Really. I was lucky I moved to Sydney during this period. I think you have to go through the 7 stages of grief. So there were the stages where I was crying myself to sleep and saying, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I think when you remove yourself from the environment that you're in, and luckily for me, that was a move to Sydney, you have a better perspective on everything. And when you have a better perspective, you start attracting the energy that you want. And that was a really vital part of my journey. I would say in the last 6 months, I've changed completely as a human. Anyone that knows me knows that I've changed completely and I've grown. And you just need to pull yourself out of that environment and honestly get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's going to suck. You're going to feel heartbroken. Like there was a stage in business where I felt like I was going through a breakup. Even though I had a loving partner at home, I was just heartbroken because you are growing out of you are growing out of everything that you are and growing into a new person and new areas that are untapped. And if you need to remove yourself from environments, move out of a house, move cities, even if it's for a couple months, that was the apple on the top of the cake for me. That's what did it for me. And now I'm very secure.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
100%, like when you're speaking now, I can relate to everything you're saying because like for myself, when I first got into the fitness space, I moved to Sydney and then with my partner who's in the army, I've moved to Sydney, I've moved to Perth, I've moved back to Newcastle, now we're in Sydney again. And it's like being able to shake up that environment and kind of get out of what you know can help you grow exponentially because you don't realize how much you're being held back and tied down by the things that I suppose are like the quote unquote norm until you get out of it and you go, oh, wow, like I didn't see all of this happening around me.
Yeah.
So with that, like, what would you say to somebody who's feeling a little bit shackled down right now, whether they're in business or not, whether they're struggling in their fitness journey or struggling with their mental health or struggling in any area of their life and they feel like getting out of their environment is not an option? What are the steps you could take to get a little bit more secure in who you are?
Assess who you're hanging out with. Really, you are the average of 1 in 5 people that you hang with, and start assessing who you're hanging out with. And if you don't like the qualities of them, you're probably not going to like the qualities within yourself. And at the end of the day, I know that it sounds cliche, but you have to do the hard work to get to where you want to be. And fitness and health has always been a core of who I am. And I really strongly believe that once you have that locked in, it's a snowball effect on the rest of your life. So if you are really looking to get out of your current situation, invest in a coach, invest in a mindset coach, do the work, assess who you're hanging out with and learn to be uncomfortable. And there was a point in my journey where if you want to be surrounded by like-minded people, I went on the Newcastle Babes in Business page and said, hey, does anyone want to hang out? I need some like-minded friends. And I met a community of people, and that is how I grew out of my current friendship groups, or my past friendship groups. But I think there needs to be a responsibility on yourself. If you want to grow, you need to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love everything that you've just said there because, again, it's 100% accurate. And, you know, it's no shade on the people that you used to hang around with or the person that you used to be. But when you know that it's no longer serving you, it's either, you know, kill or be killed, in the sense of you need to move forward or you will stay the same.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of tall poppy with that. So when people do the work and they step into this happy place, there's a lot of, oh, but you had it so easy. And yes, it looks easy because I'm here, but the journey of that, it's not easy at all. And you need to make it easier for yourself. And the only way to do that is to strip strip who you are as a person and restart again. Start showing up as the person that you want to be.
Yeah, like a whole factory reset.
Yeah. And that's hard. Like I still look back and I still get really sad and I still have nostalgia about who I was. I would never trade it for who I am though now.
Yeah, I think that that's really powerful because it shows that you can accept the person that you were in the past, which is so important, but you're so much further ahead with who you are now and are so, I guess, comfortable and proud of who you are now.
Yeah.
So it makes the journey, whatever journey it is that it's been, whether it's been challenging or there's been times of triumph or times of sadness, it makes everything so worthwhile.
Absolutely.
So I would love to kind of switch the cards a little bit here. I love everything we've been speaking about, and it's great to get to know you on a bit of a deeper level. I noticed that earlier on you said that you knew you always wanted to work in the health and fitness space and you never wanted to be a coach. What does health and fitness mean to you, and how has it shaped your life?
I think, like anyone our age, you start with health and fitness with the 1,200 calorie diets and restrictiveness. And I was a sick kid. I have a disease and I was in and out of hospital quite a lot through my late teens. And my doctor simply said to me, take care of your health and fitness. It's the number one cure to what you've got. There's no cure to what I have. Basically, there 100% chance I'll relapse in the future because there's no cure, but taking care of your health and fitness. And it honestly, I was in and out of fad diets, over exercising, and I grew up in a family without education around health and fitness. Like no exercise, nothing like that. And I think it came to the point where I was 21 and I had a bit of a relapse into my disease, ended up in hospital, and I was rashes all over my body and eczema, and I kind of got to that crux of I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of it. And I invested in a nutrition coach, and I will forever to this day thank her for saving my life, because the tools that I learned, that not only you get the body composition that you want, obviously, but the feeling of being healthy outweighs anything in the world. And you know, I haven't relapsed for, how old am I? 7 years now. Haven't had a relapse for 7 years. Haven't been close. I'm healthy. My mindset's great. I wake up feeling refreshed. I have time for my family. I can move. I can pick up my nephew. It's just, there's so much that I love about it. And especially being an entrepreneur, if you do not take care of who you are, you won't have a business, because your business relies on you. So it's a vital part of who you need to be. And that's kind of where it is at the moment. It's who I am as a person. When people think about me, they think health and fitness, probably because my career's in it. But it's just such a vital part of who I am. And the discipline is just normal for me now. The motivation is normal for me. And I will never go back to the person I was without it.
Yeah. Everything that you've said there is like on the money, and it's so important to recognize that you're right. It's not just about body composition. It's about how you feel and like your quality of life as well. And with that, I was kind of curious to kind of know, when you said that you knew you didn't want to be a coach, I'd love to know the reason behind that.
I guess I have a psychology background and I never wanted to be a therapist. And I very much know that coaching is a vulnerable space, and it's just not me. I'm very much a blunt person. Like, you know me very well. I'm a consultant at heart. I'll tell you right from wrong, and I'm not really good. I'm really good at tough love, but I'm not good at anything else. And I just knew that wasn't for me. I wanted to do something different, but I wanted to be involved within the industry. It just wasn't aligning with who I was as a person. I'm a very logical person. Yeah. I'm very logical, and coaching is very grey. And I like to dot my I's, cross my T's. I think that's it. Yeah. I like to make sure that everything's, and I couldn't deal with that. I'm not good at supporting people. I
actually think that we'll agree to disagree with that one.
I am really bad. Like when someone cries in front of me, I'm like, what do I do? Like, I am not that kind of emotional person. So yeah, it just was never for me.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Yeah. And the reason I was curious is because it's funny because whilst I know you on a really good level, I guess I don't know you on that level. And I can completely understand like the gray area in coaching, and how you do have to have like tough love and like soft side to support people. And I actually view you the opposite of everything you just said, because I feel like you're very inviting and very warm, and I feel like you're very good at giving advice as well. However, when it comes to a coaching space, you know what you like and what you don't like. And if you want to be like hard and fast and straight to the point, consulting is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
So how do you help coaches in what you do now?
Lots of ways. Well, not lots of ways, but basically there's multiple ways to enter our business. So if you want a personalized approach with my entire team, we have a program called the Business Moves program, and basically we walk you through setting up a business and we launch you into the space, and that includes one-to-one coaching, consulting, and access to me, which is honestly support through the grey areas. A lot of coaches waste 12 to 18 months of guesswork trying to set up their business, and that's what we accelerate in the process. So that's one of the ways. And then the second way is we have a core saying, which is we give coaches back their time. And the way that we give back time is from resources. We all know how long it takes to do social media marketing, email marketing, and we create resources for coaches to utilize that will help boost their business and grow. So that's the way that we work with them. And then I also work one-to-one with coaches to iron out road bumps and help them grow their businesses.
That's and I've seen the shift that you guys have had in the last even like 12 months, because you used to have like a VA service and all of that as well. And that's where I guess we met, because I came in for VA. And what do you think is like the biggest, I guess, shift that you've had with your business since transitioning into these new services and offerings?
I discovered what my why was. So as I mentioned, when I started MA, I had no idea. I was honestly winging it. When someone asked me for something, I was sure, add it into the service suite. And we just ended up with 4 divisions, all these different services. It was so confusing, hard to market. And although people loved us and although people joined our business, and we had VA clients for 18 months plus, I didn't want to do it. I remember something happened, and I remember sending my advisor a video at 9 o'clock. I was in the office and I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I cannot do this. This is not who I am. And then we kind of went through a process of where we closed that side of the business. And I really, truly believe I discovered my why. And I love when someone comes to me and they say my business is a mess. And I'm like, let's do it. Let's pull it apart. Let's figure it out. I've probably done it with you, like onboard me as a client. I'll tell you everything that's wrong. And I love that challenge. And I love when we bring people's visions to life and they see their branding and they get so excited, and then they start getting inquiries. Like, that's the side that I love. It's exciting. It's refreshing. It's awesome. So it's definitely that I discovered my why. I discovered where I want to put my energy and my time, and I just channeled in on it.
So how did you learn all of these skills? Because obviously you've come from a psychology background, then you fell into making spreadsheets, built a team, and now you're doing consulting and all of the marketing and processes for business. How did you learn what needed to be done to enter that space?
Lots of things. I did a business diploma, so I've always had that, but I've always been really business brained. I either believe that you are or you aren't an entrepreneur. And honestly, time. I knew that if I wanted to be a leader in what we do, I would have to dedicate time. So I spent hours on Calendly. I spent hours on all the training apps. My team spent hours on the training apps. It's a quarterly thing. We go through every single software that we recommend to customers on a quarterly. We'll go through, see the updates and see what's happening. So that's one. Second is I've always had a business mentor or a coach. My advisor at the moment, I will give her credit for saving my business. She has guided me through absolutely everything, and having an advisor or a coach, they just get you to where you want to be quicker, because they come in and they're like, you're overreacting, like it's okay, we're going to do this, and they really help guide you. It's like having a health and fitness coach, and you just got to love what you do. And when you love what you do, it's not hard to learn about it. And then the third thing is I hired in where I'm bad at. So I have an incredible designer. I'm very biased with my designer, but I just think she's the best designer ever. She does the design stuff. I don't need to do that. I can focus in on what I'm good at. So everyone in my business has specific roles. They are trained in them specific roles. They are audited in that specific role. So once a month I'll send out, I'm this client, I've got this problem, tell me how you're going to fix it. And we are really on top of that. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, and just love what you do.
Yeah. And so what are a couple of things that you've noticed as of late in the space that you work in that, when it comes to coaches building businesses and seeking help, what are the biggest, I guess, things that you notice people are either not realizing not doing correctly, or I don't want to use the word failing, but maybe not being able to push forward with?
Not, I would say it's important to fail in business, of course. I think number one, shiny object syndrome. Because another coach is doing something, I want to do that. And that is so easy. You would know what it's like to watch someone and say, I want to do that. That is one of the biggest things I come across is this coach is doing this, so I want to do this. Well, no, you're not that coach. You have your own business. Another is the overcomplication of the offers. I think, especially being in the industry ourselves for so long, fitness and health is easy to us. You eat the same thing every day. It's not an effort. But when it comes to newer clients and how vulnerable the space is, coaches tend to forget that. And if they have a suite of 10 offers, the client's automatically tapping out.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
You need to simplify it, because if you give a customer an option of a weekly, a fortnightly, or a monthly check-in, they're going to opt for that monthly check-in because it's cheaper. So if you have one offer, it engages them into the business and you have a higher retention rate because there's more access to you. So overcomplicating is another one. Shiny object is the first one. And I think the last one is that coaches are in the business because they love what they do. They're not typically in the business because they love the business side of it. And it can be really hard when you're a creative like that. And I think at any given point, people do need help in their journey. And if you are navigating it lost, and I always say to my coaches, flip the script. If you are navigating it lost, and I'm sure that you've had this in your business, you've had someone contact you, then 12 months later they contact you and they're in the same spot, and that's when they decide to sign up. That's the biggest problem. Just get the help now. Invest now, get the help, and you're going to be so much better off and further ahead.
Yeah. So what would somebody do if they're noticing, oh, that's actually me right now?
I would always recommend to have a business coach or a mentor, but not just any business coach or mentor. I feel like the word is, a lot of people are turning into business coaches in the industry. You need to find someone that, one, has social proof, two, has done what you want to do. If they have done what you want to do and they're successful at it, invest in them, because they're going to help you get through the hurdles. And working with one-to-one clients, every single client has the same problem. Yeah. Every single client is going through the same problems. They have the same issues. They have the same complaints. And it's just a matter of getting through it. It might feel like the end of the world, but your coach, your advisor is going to be like, no, this is nothing. This is honestly nothing. So it just gives you that confidence piece as well.
So if you're a coach or a business owner and you're trying to make your way through the next stage of your business and business growth and finding those next steps, and there's so much noise, and social media is providing so much noise and so many options, like how do you kind of like fight through the noise and find your way forward and find the people that you can work with, or the right coach or the right business coach or the right people that you can kind of grow with on your team?
Yeah, it really comes, I can really relate to this because I went through this last year, but it really comes back to stripping back. What do I like? What don't I like? And this might be breaking point. This might be a night where you're up late at night, losing your mind over something. And I had one coach who said to me, I hate nutrition coaching. I was like, why do you do it? Why are we doing it? So it really comes to stripping back and taking a moment. And I always say this to my clients, take some time off.
Yeah.
Take 2 or 3 days off. Everyone's like, I can't do it. I'm making no money. I'm like, you're not going to make any money. You're going down like this. If you had 3 days off, you'll come straight back up because you know what you want to do. So there needs to be downtime. There needs to be quietness. But there also needs to be a reassessment of your business and auditing. So I really recommend, what offers are we selling? What aren't we selling? Where's our retention stopping at? What's the lifetime value? Why is this happening? What's the feedback? Coming back to that, utilizing that, and then growing your business from that. So in business, small businesses tend not to validate their decisions. But if you want to grow in business, you need to validate your decisions. So it really comes back to that auditing process and being on top, but taking a big step back. Yeah. And I can't even mention, I can't even put to words the value that having time off gives you, because you move away from all the noise. And on social media, I think, again, there's a responsibility. Mute everyone. Put everyone on mute. You're looking at other people's profiles. You're literally causing your own pain. Turn it off. If you don't want to see what they're doing, because if you do that, you're only going to end up spiraling. Take some time, turn it all off, go away, come back. You'll know exactly what you want. Mm.
So when you were saying just before about how you've got to like switch off or learn to take a bit of a step back in order to push forward, somebody who, because I know I struggle with this as a business owner, and like I get a lot of anxiety about taking some time off, particularly because I feel that we're still in a place, it's getting better, but we're still in a place where without setting really good expectations with your clients from the beginning, it can almost feel like you have to be available at all hours for clients. And I mean, I can speak from experience with our business, and I can say that from day dot, the client knows we work Monday to Friday, contact hours between 9 and 5. Outside of that, you know, you probably won't hear from us. And if you do, it won't be very often.
Yeah.
For somebody that is a bit anxious about taking time off and they know they need to take a step back and maybe haven't got those structures in place, what's the first step to be able to feel good about taking some time?
Put the structures in place. It's as simple as a boundary.
Yeah.
It really is. And I think with your relationship building with your customers should be your main priority, and you should be friends with your client. At the end of the day, as a coach, you know everything about them. And like, for example, when someone comes to me, I'm like, all right, what's your contract hours? What are we doing? Why are you feeling burnt out? And just sending an email to the customers and saying, I'm going to be offline. That in coaching, there's so many flexibilities with it. So, hey, we're going to do a fortnightly check-in. I'm taking a little bit of time off. If you have a coach, easy, say, you know, go contact this coach. But if not, be vulnerable with your clients and say, I just need a little bit of time. I'm really struggling at the moment. And if they don't understand you, do you really want to work with that client in your business? I don't think so. So it really comes back to, I know that it's so hard because I get it too. When I take time off, I get head noise and I was like, I should be there, I should be there. And I guess I can be a little bit stubborn about it because I am in a position where I can take time off because I have a team that runs the business now. But it really comes back to, one, you need to set a boundary, and two, if your customer's not happy with that, then they don't need to be your customer. And this has happened to me before. Last year when I was going through what I went through, I had to take a week off, and it was a last minute decision. I messaged all of my customers and I said, I'm taking a week off. I'm so sorry. I will finalize that with you next week. I'll be in touch. One customer didn't take it too well, and I was like, I don't think we're meant to work together.
Yeah, not aligned because they don't value your values, and that's really problematic. I've even experienced that with clients of my own. You know, like majority of my clients are really good, but we still have, you know, the odd client who tries to get out of a contract, or clients who are always complaining about something that is actually on them, or, you know, you've got to, it's like a dance with your clients, whether you're in a fitness business or any other business. I know it's a dance of like being able to support each other. Even though you're the coach, you want a client that can support you as well.
Yeah.
And having the wrong type of clients in your business might be a case for you to kind of look at, okay, what is my avatar and who are the people I actually want to bring in?
Absolutely. And business is it's a full circle. So if you want to take time off your business, if you haven't been giving either value or time to your clients, they're not going to be happy with you. But for example, like yourself, if you're constantly giving time and value to your customers, when it comes to that point of, I need to take a day off my well-being, they're going to be like, cool, that's fine. No stress. Like, this is so okay. And it really comes back to, you can't put in minimal effort and then when it gets hard on you, expect your customers to be okay with it. It's a give and take forever.
Absolutely. Like inputs and outputs.
Yeah. And it's just dancing around each other. And if you want your customer to be understanding of you, then be understanding of them throughout their entire journey. So when it does come to that point, you can take time off.
Yes, it's a mirror. It's 100% a mirror. That actually is a really, really good point to drive it home. And so flipping the script, because I know, you know, you've got a coach at the moment. You're working with Sequoia.
Yeah.
Is that right? She's brilliant.
Yeah.
And so you're also a client to a coach, so you can see it from the other end.
Yeah.
As a client, what are some things that you think are really important to, I guess, be able to step into a business and be ready to take on coaching and actually, I guess, be part of coaching and give it your all so that you can get results?
That's a good one. I've definitely had phases. I reached out to Sequoia because I needed someone that understands business. There's so much misinformation, but being an entrepreneur, it is hard. It's one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. And prioritizing your health and fitness, there was a point there where I didn't train for 6 months because I was like, it's not work. I'm not doing it. It's not work. And I think number one, sourcing a coach that understands where you're coming from. And I think there's a lot of disjoint in this industry at the moment because as soon as you become an online coach, you can train at 11 o'clock. You can train at the hours that you want to train. Your customers can't do that. So there needs to be a real understanding piece that your coach is going to understand where you're coming from. And I think, and I want to say this with a grain of salt because I am privileged to have a coach. I know that having a coach is a privilege and paying a fee per week is a privilege. Not many people can have that. But even when you aren't motivated and you aren't going to your sessions, your coach is going to be that person in your back pocket. And there's been many times where I'm like, I'm not training this week, but I don't cancel my service because I know in 2 weeks' time she's going to pull me out of the funk. And I'm going to get that hard truth of what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And it makes you a better person. But I think when it goes to choosing a coach as a client, you need to be ready to change your life. You need to understand that this process isn't going to be easy and no one's going to do the work for you. And it really comes back down to why do you want it? And it's so easy to fall back into old habits of, I'm a classic victim of, going out on a weekend and eating KFC on a Sunday. Like, everyone loves K-fry after a big night.
Yeah, you got to live a little bit.
But having a coach and paying for that service, you're going to be like, okay, I got to get it together tomorrow. I've got to get on top of it tomorrow. So I think it really comes, if you're going to invest in a coach, you need to be ready to change your life.
Yeah, you can't just pay for a service expecting that everything's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
You've got to put the work in as well.
And be coachable. Like it is hard to be I definitely understand the coachable piece because there's so much misinformation. And another thing, when people are injured, they think that they live with that injury. And as a coach, you probably get the roadblocks of I can't do that. You're paying your coach for a reason, so please listen to them because they will give you the tools that you need to get better.
You're preaching to the choir because you are right. I can understand the concept of, I've just been injured or I'm going on holiday, so I'm just going to cancel my services. And it's like, I've had clients in the past that say, I just got injured. It's like, oh, well, you can still do your nutrition coaching. We can still work your program around your injury, but people use that as, you're right, like the roadblock of, oh, it's all too hard now, I just can't.
And you don't throw in the towel when you've had a bad day at work. And I think understanding that fitness and health, it's a lifestyle. It's not an 8-week sprint. It's a journey, and it's not a linear journey at all. And your coach will be there for you on your hardest days. And I think it's having respect for your coach as well, to understand it's their business too, and they need to make a living as well. And it's really hard for me to bring it back to a beginner because it's just a part of my life. It's a bill that I'll pay forever now. And
because you can see the value in it, right?
And to get to that point, for example, me and Sec barely talk, only because I'm bad at responding. I do not respond. I'm that kind of client that just does my stuff and will do my check-in. But even then, I'm like, if I'm having a bad day, I could reach out and be like, let's jump on a call.
Yeah.
And it's just having a friend in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that for you in your perspective, you're able to, I guess, see it from both sides, the business side as well as the client side. So to kind of wrap this up and to finish off for today, I would love if you could give one piece of advice for any coaches out there who are either wanting to start out in their business and their coaching journey or feeling like they've hit a roadblock and don't know where to go. And then on the flip side, a piece of advice for maybe a client or someone on their fitness journey who is experiencing a similar feeling.
Absolutely. So with coaches, if you want to start out, stop looking at how many coaches are in the industry. I think there is a lot of talk around saturation. And the health and fitness market is saturated because people prioritize health now. We just went through a health crisis. And in perspective, there's 35,000 coaches in Australia. There's 22 million people over the age of 21. There's so many customers out there. You're just it's a limiting belief for yourself. So really just go for it and give it a good crack, because if you don't, you're going to regret it. And I think with customers, if you're finding roadblocks, understanding that it's just a part of your life and that your health and fitness is not going to be perfect and it's not linear, and the fact that you're going through an uncomfortable and bad place, there's always a flip side. There's always a pendulum. So if you're going through something difficult right now, something good is coming. And just understanding that that's journey. And that's what I always say to myself. And I think it's from Ned Brockman, but get uncomfortable being uncomfortable, because the sooner you do that, you're going to get comfortable so quickly.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be willing to, like, I guess, sit in it and experience it for what it is, rather than telling yourself why you can or can't.
Yeah. And I saw something on social media the other day, and it was like, what is the difference between someone that says I can and I can't? They're both right.
Mm.
And if you continually tell yourself that you can't, you're not going to be able to. Like, we're our only biggest limitation.
Mm. Oh, that was such a good send off. I really, really enjoyed this chat with you, because I feel like there's a lot of, again, from your perspective and just from everything you've been through in your life, you can see it from both sides, and you've got so many valuable pieces of advice. Where can people find you?
So my business page is at forwardmoves.au, www.forwardmoves.com.au. And that's about it.
It's a great place to start, though.
Just find the business and you'll find me.
Yeah, I love it. So any aspiring coaches out there who are looking at trying to get into the nitty gritty of their business so that they can grow, you definitely are looking at Forward Moves and Ash and her team. They are brilliant. I'm not being biased, but we have used these guys, and there are definitely a massive representation of how far we've been able to come. So
thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in and for jumping on the podcast. I'm sure so many of us have gotten a lot of value from that. And we're really looking forward to being able to continue to network and, continue to see how you guys go in the future and where life takes you and your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to watch your journey as well.
Thanks so much. Well, thank you for coming in, and we'll speak to you guys soon.
Thank you.